Hello there, folks. Welcome into today's video. Palantir CEO out with some pretty big comments in relation to how their AI product's going. Let's just jump straight into this.
What am I doing in DC? What am I doing every day, both as an individual and as the co-founder and leader of Palantir, is pushing America to adopt AI with governance responsibly in the commercial context. What does governance mean? Governance means you can look at the output of a large language model or the inputs into algorithms and say, is this something that protects our data, protects our health records, make sure they're not being used in a discriminatory way? And on the battlefield, is there some human supervision in the chain where we make lethal decisions? And where does that data come from? Who controls it? Who can ratchet this back? Who can ratchet us up? And do we have superiority that is so great that our adversaries are afraid to attack us? The standard for the US can't be parity, because we're basically benevolent actors in the world, despite discrimination, certainly from the comparative perspective, maybe the only benevolent actors. And the best way to make sure that we have a safe world is to make sure that our adversaries know that our weapons are far superior to theirs. That's what I'm interested in.
I want to ask you more about the meeting. Did you have a chance to speak directly with Senate Majority Leader Schumer? And do we need an AI czar, Department of AI regulation, or something like that?
We are going to have regulation, and there's some forms of regulation I support. Like what the form of regulation I support is we must, the U.S. as leaders, control the risk to our civilization of out of control rogue AI. So I am doing this in public and in private. And what I can tell you is I'm telling you exactly what I tell people in private, whether it's Senator Schumer or leaders of the world or my employees or people abroad, whoever I'm meeting, I am telling you the same thing. So you can be rest assured that you're hearing in public what I said in private. And what I say in public and in private is there's a real risk here. But the upside is that America will outperform all other Western countries because we produce the technology, we have legal structures that allow us to implement it, and we have the best talent, and we're the most innovative. On the military context, we are poised to win, but we have to make sure we actually win when we're poised to win. It's not the same thing. And that's what I'm saying in public and in private.
So, Alex, we have a question for you from the New York Stock Exchange.
Alex, it's Sarah Eisen. It's great to hear this color and the philosophy behind how we think about AI and regulation. I'm curious, though, what it's going to mean for your business, because there has been a lot of enthusiasm and excitement in the market.
Thank you. These are the questions I like. Okay, this is my favorite part.
Around Palantir as an AI play, what does growth look like from governments, from commercial, from international, as we adopt generative AI?
I think for us and for everyone, what you're going to see is radical growth in the U.S., slower growth in Europe.
Radical growth in the U.S. So that sounds pretty insane. That's a great word choice. You don't usually hear that. I've been in the market 15 years. You don't usually hear CEOs say radical growth, but that's what he feels like in the United States. Slow growth in Europe. Okay.
In the U.S., because people are going to adopt the best, most robust, most useful technologies, and very quickly. What you're going to see in the market, and then I'll get to us, is you're going to see in the market, you've had a massive interest in AI. Many of these products deliver poetry and will allow me to write an essay maybe I know nothing about. The products that are going to do well in the sense that people are going to pay for them are going to have output differential. So you're going to change the margins of a business. You're going to rebuild a supply chain. You're going to move a company from individual point-based company to a portfolio way of managing it.
I love that. I love that answer, right? Because that, no disrespect to obviously ChatGPT and all these other competing products and things like that. I agree with Karp. Okay, you can write an essay. Cool if you're a school student or something like that, right? And act like you know something you don't know. But at the end of the day, when it comes to business, we need to change the margins of the business. We need to get cost out of the business. We need to be more profitable. We need to find more ways to make money from our current client list and our data we have, which these companies collect enormous amounts of data, especially the bigger the company, right? That's what we need as a company. And that's what Palantir.
And those companies are going to succeed in the U.S. market. How are we doing? It's very early days, and you don't want to be out there being too optimistic, and we're being very careful to kind of move slower than we could. But we de facto cannot keep up with demand for our AIP product. We built these precursors.
We cannot keep up with demand for our AIP product. Interesting comment. And one of the best, certainly, things I could ever hear, right? We cannot keep up with demand of our AIP product. And you might say, well, they haven't really figured out how to monetize that yet, or at least they hadn't as of the last conference call, right? Well, they certainly can over time. At the end of the day, for Palantir, it's just about them being in relationships with all these different customers and building out, potential $20 million, $50 million, $100 million deals. That's what it's all about. And it's hard to do that if you don't have a relationship. So the fact that just everybody's kind of running over themselves to obviously experiment and try out Palantir's AIP product is definitely very, very good.
Technologies that are not understood yet, but the clients understand them because they are asking, how do I work with a large language model in a safe way, a governed way, where I can make them more precise and change the underlying dynamics of my business within days. And what we've seen is in the last month a 50% increase in people using our AIP product in a month. So, the other thing about...
Can I interrupt you, Alex, for 1 second? We have another question for you from the New York Stock Exchange. I want to get some of our anchor questions in as well.
Hey, Alex. Yes, Alex, it's David Faber. I just want to follow up on that. In terms of productivity and what's going to be available to the enterprise as a result of the adoption that you're talking about. One step down from threat to humanity, but what about threat to workers? Where are you in terms of how many jobs will be replaced as opposed to potentially simply aided to go work on higher end things?
This is a super important question. Typically technology is misaligned with the worker. And so there's obviously a lot of concern among working men and women that, radical increase in technological development will lead to a decrease in jobs and put pressure on their salaries. I think AI incorrectly implemented. So not long ago, we had 1% of the U.S. hospital care market. Now we have 16%. What is going on with this radical increase? We're making doctors and nurses more effective. We're making factory workers more effective. By the way, one of the most important attributes of AI that's not been discovered yet and will be discovered is you can take manufacturing that maybe has been culturally specific to Japan or Korea, and we have one company that is a Japanese company producing a highly technical product in America, just like they produce it in Japan with American workers. And why can they do that? Because through enhanced software, algorithms, and AI, we can control the manufacturing environment for Americans as if it was Japan. That means American work. So then you get the agility, creativity, ingenuity of America with methodologies we've not been able to produce here in the largest and most important market in the world. So I think, and this is a message that's going to take, we actually have to show rather than tell, because workers are going to be skeptical of it, but it's actually true.
All right, before we go on to the Steve Eisman video here, let me wrap up thoughts around Palantir and the stock price specifically, right? So obviously we didn't talk about the stock price in regards to this one, okay? So I believe personally what is going on with Palantir stock price, which remember this stock started the year at like $5 to $6 range, which is just laughable, right? Then obviously it went on an absolute beast run. We touched around $20, right? Now we're sitting at about 14 bucks here today, right? I believe in regards to stock price, what has happened here recently is very, very healthy. You don't just go up in a straight line or something like that, right? I think this has been a really nice pullback, consolidation. You're giving people time. The people that, are just kind of a little more of the short-term crowd, you're giving them plenty of time to get out of the stock, to cash out. You're giving people time to buy the stock who want to buy the stock but didn't want to buy it when it was just up in a straight line, when it went from $6 to $20, right? Now we're getting a several month time span to kind of buy it at much lower ranges. So this is one of the most healthy moves you can ever imagine for a stock, and this is usually something you like to see, right? And then whenever Palantir comes out with some more exciting stuff, then you'll see the stock make another big upward move. Is that an earnings beat? Is that, for sure S&P 500 inclusion? Something along those lines would be the next thing to get Palantir obviously back to, let's say, $20 or above. It's like, oh, S&P 500 inclusion's coming, or wow, did you see Palantir just killed it when it comes to revenue or their guidance or amount of customers or something like that. Until that happens, we'll kind of just be in this let's just call it chilling range of kind of like consolidation here, okay? Alrighty, look at Texas Roadhouse. Texas Roadhouse, one of the greatest stocks in the entire stock market. Literally, okay? This company gets put up on the shelf of Elf on a Shelf, up on the shelf of Apple, up on the shelf of Tesla, of like the greatest stocks literally in the entire stock market over the past, decade or so, right? Texas Roadhouse continues to falter, and look it's at the same exact time frame, basically right starting toward the beginning of July, mid-July, the stock just started to falter and it just kept going down and down, down, which is exactly lines up with Cheesecake Factory, right? And so I want to take this a step further. And I said, is this just Cheesecake Factory and Texas Roadhouse? Let me see the big dog in the restaurant category and see what's going on with them. And you know what I found? Here's what I found. Look at this. Darden Restaurants, usually considered as big dog of the restaurant space. This stock, same exact phenomenon, where it just goes down and down and down and down. And at the same exact time as Texas Roadhouse and Cheesecake Factory, they're all going down at the same exact time. So the thing you gotta ask yourself, why is this happening? What is going on here? What does somebody know? I'll tell you exactly what's going on here. What this is called is rotation. This is something that happens in the stock market. The restaurant stocks had been hot for a while, and now a lot of people are looking to rotate that. And I think a lot of people have rotated into the energy stocks pretty much since around, let's call it the beginning of July, mid-July. And so I think you've seen rotation from a lot of these restaurant stocks, right, to other places. One of those being certainly energy, right? Hasn't really been to like the AI plays and things like that, right? If anything, those have seen some outflows recently and some real weakness in regards to those stocks. So this is something that happens in the stock market. It is something that goes on. It's what we're dealing with right now, right? But at the end of the day, I love at least two of those companies, right? Cheesecake Factory and Texas Roadhouse. For the long term, I'm hoping those stocks continue to show weakness for at least the next few months, as I would love to continue to be a buyer of those stocks. Those are just, throw them in the filing cabinet. They handle everything well. They got through the worst case scenario, which was Rona, and those companies are just very, very strong, and they're going to continue to be strong, okay?